You know, the 1970 NHL expansion draft to welcome Buffalo and Vancouver into the league was successful. It left them enough players to have strong teams within the next few years. Now, 72, the Islanders and Atlanta, when he joined the league, were given the option for a lot of great players. But unfortunately, the 1974 NHL expansion draft was probably what I call deceiving, because it seemed there were a lot of good players that were available, but they really didn't do anything besides, fillers until better players came along. So today we're going to be talking about the selections by the expansion teams that year, the Kansas City Scouts and the Washington Capitals. Now, it was held June 12, 1974. Both teams took 24 players in the draft. This was from established teams, and the rules were very simple. When a player was taken, the established team could take it off, put their back in the protected list. So, Kansas City, which turned into the Colorado Rockies and later New Jersey Devils, had a number one pick in the draft. Now, like previous events, goalies were taken in the first selections. Michel Place, the Stanley Cup winner with the Montreal Canadiens, was taken by the Kansas City Scouts, while the Ron Lowe, who was playing Toronto at the time, the future Edmonton Oiler, was taken by the Washington Capitals. Now, Peter McDuffie of the Rangers was taken by Kansas City, and Michel Bellemare, the unlucky goalie for the Capitals, who didn't win a game, I think, until his second season, was taken from the Flyers. Now, the big one taken in the draft, of course, was the Stanley Cup champion and role model and what they call a role player, very strong two-way forward, Simon Dolé, taken by the Flyers from Kansas City. Now, Dave Crickshaw was taken from Chicago by Washington. Butch Deadmarsh taken from Atlanta from Kansas City. A future hometown hero for the Capitals, Yvon Labra, was taken by Pittsburgh by Washington. Brent Hughes was taken from Detroit by Kansas City. Pete Laframboise from California was taken by the Capitals. Paul Desbancher, kind of a surprise. A lot of people thought Buffalo was going to protect him. Taken by Kansas City. Bob Grip, taken by the Capitals by Boston. Gary Coulter, taken from the Seals by Kansas City. Gordie Smith, taken from LA by the Capitals. Gary Croteau, taken by California by Kansas City. And this was kind of surprised as well. Steve Atkinson, who was very well respected in Buffalo, was taken by the Capitals. Randy Rhoda, the former Montreal prospect, was taken from LA by Kansas City. Bruce Cowick, taken from the Flyers by Washington. Lynn Powis, taken by Chicago by Washington. And another surprise, Dennis Dupari, who was a good player with Toronto, was taken by the Capitals. John Wright, taken by Kansas City from St. Louis. Joe Ludwigin, taken from Toronto by Washington. Ted Snell, taken from Pittsburgh by Kansas City. And a player we profiled before, Randy Wierzub, taken from the Sabres by Washington. Chris Evans, taken from Detroit by Kansas City. Michael Bloom, taken from Boston from the Capitals. Brian Leftley, the second time he was drafted in the expansion draft, taken from the Islanders by Kansas City. Gordy Brooks, taken from St. Louis by Washington. Robin Burns, taken from Pittsburgh by Kansas City. Bob Colliard, taken from St. Louis by Washington. Tom Peluso, taken from Chicago by Kansas City. Bill Mickelson, taken from the Islanders by Washington. Kerry Ketter, taken from Atlanta by Kansas City. Ryan Anderson, very underrated player, taken from Boston by the Capitals. Normand Dubé, taken by the Kings from Kansas City. Mike Lampin, taken from Vancouver by Washington. Richard Lemieux, very underrated center, taken from Vancouver by Kansas City. Lou Morrison, taken from Atlanta, second time going expansion draft from Washington. Dave Hudson, taken from Vancouver by Kansas City. Steve West, taken from Minnesota by Washington. Ken Murray, taken by Detroit from Detroit by Kansas City. Larry Bolinchuk, taken from Vancouver by Washington. Dennis Patterson, taken from Minnesota by Kansas City. Murray Anderson, taken from Minnesota by Washington. And then Ed Gilbert, Montreal prospect, taken by Kansas City. Larry Furlan, taken by from the Canadiens by the Capitals. Doug Horbo, taken from the Rangers by Kansas City. And a very underrated Jack Eagers, taken from the Rangers by Washington. So not a very, very deep pool of players. At best, you look at these skaters: Michel Place, Ron Lowe, Simon Nollet, Yvan Labre, Paul Tabache, Steve Atkinson. I don't understand why Buffalo would ever protect him. Randy Roll, a very underrated player. Lynn Powers, but Dennis Dupéry, kind of surprised he went so deep. I think Dennis was a good player, good two-way defensive player. So again, Washington and Kansas City struggled. Kansas City struggled so much he moved to Colorado, then he moved again to New Jersey. So, but Kansas City's logo wouldn't work in 2021 because it's cultural appropriation. But I know one thing: Washington, once they had the Quebec influence on the team, Sirois and everybody else, Yvan Labre, they got a lot better. And Bragnalo and the role players. But Kansas City, this bad draft really, really suckered them in. And I wanna say just one thing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not against Kansas City coming in the league, but the idea was for 2 years. I don't know, they were trying a significant expansion, but not going to Denver first was a mistake. They eventually went to Denver. Now, the 2-season record, just terrible, ladies and gentlemen. And Guy Charon ended up being there as well later on. First season, 15, 54, and 11. Second season, worse, 12, 56, and 12. So, ladies and gentlemen, over 160 games in 2 seasons. They had 27 wins. Now, Wilt Paymont, of course, was the big draft in 74, second overall, and Barry Dean in 75. But I think the Kansas City negativity started with that draft. There wasn't much available, ladies and gentlemen, because I think they manipulated the draft a little bit better. Because 70 and 72 there, you could probably take the best 10 players from each draft and make a playoff contender for 70-72. Augmented, of course, with the amateur draft. Very strong in 70-72. 74, not so much. Taking Greg Jolie number 1, that wasn't a smart move. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing with our expansion NHL podcast, talking about a different year, let us know. Give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for dropping in, and keep your stick in the ice. Bye.